honor your needs and lessen desire. How do we know what our needs are and what our desires? We're going to dive into this in this contemplation. Welcome to Gene Key 30 Contemplation, and welcome to my YouTube channel. The shadow of this one is desire. The gift is lightness, and the siddhi is rapture. So desire is really a temptation that is leading us ultimately away from our deepest desire, which is to end suffering and experience freedom. So how do our desires lead us away? Ultimately, the greatest understanding, the truest, deepest truth that is expressed in all of the levels of the Siddhi of Rapture being this one, is that we are all one and that we are sourced from within and our freedom is within. And this whole human journey, as is expressed through every single one of the gene keys and the journey of going from our shadows and ascending the frequencies, is basically just to come home to ourselves, to recognize our direct connection with Source, with the sacred realms, with God. I'm thinking and seeing of the Ouroboros, the snake that's eating its tail. So it's not that desires are bad. They actually take us down journeys, and it's our way of growing and learning about who we're not. And the challenge, as I said, at the shadow level is that, with all of the shadow levels, is that we seek to fulfill that longing that we all have by something external. And we project these ideas with our minds about, if I have this, then I'll feel full, then I'll feel complete. But as we, go on our spiritual journeys and self-development, we realize once we even get that thing, that it doesn't satiate us. And oftentimes it can make us feel bad. A simple example of being, potato chips. You go and you eat the bag, even though it's just junk food. And after you finish it, you don't usually feel all that good. So our desires are kind of like that. They're a craving, whereas a need is a need. Like, we need food as a human. We need to drink water. We have certain needs that ultimately nourish us and enrich us. So at the gift level of lightness, the lightness is when we start to create space around the desires. We start to question the mind, and we understand that our mind isn't the ultimate source for making decisions. That our mind is used to communicate, to play, and to not make decisions. But the mind at the shadow level fans the flame, and it runs with the desire and projects it way into the future about how this is going to be the thing that finally fulfills us and makes us feel happy. So at the gift of the higher frequency of lightness around the desires is to truly have this lightness, to realize that desires are futile, and to create space around them and really question them. See, what is it that I might be projecting onto this thing or this person or this something that I desire that is really mirroring to me something deeper about myself. And I have a story. It's interesting. This week, I had something come up where my mind immediately went into control, and this is how it has to be. I do not want this. I want this instead. And I was able to catch it, partly because I had just read the Surrender Experiment, but I'm on this path and I'm doing these deep contemplations. And so I let my mind relax. Thought, I'm not going down this path. I let my heart feel the emotions it needed to feel and relaxed behind them. And it was a challenge. It was a challenge. It still is a challenge. And then last night, here's the interesting story, especially because this gift is called lightness. I woke up to go to the bathroom in the middle of the night, and I was half asleep, but I saw this light flashing in the bathroom from outside, and I sort of, tried to make my eyes wider so that I could, what is going on? It almost seemed like there was a fire outside. So I looked out the window and I could see on the dock facing the house, there was a light flashing. And, I know light bulbs flash and flicker before they're about to die, but this one was flashing so brightly, it almost seemed like a spark. And I know that it's connected to an electrical panel. So my mind immediately went to, oh my God, there's going to be a fire. It's going to catch the house on fire. This is something I do not want, which, that's a desire. I guess you could say it's a need too, to not burn. But then there I was faced with my mind running and fanning something, and I felt my body go into fear. I felt fear flood my body. And I went back to bed after a couple minutes of watching this, and I couldn't sleep. I got up to see if the light bulb had gone out, and it hadn't. And in the few seconds I was there watching this light bulb flash again, I saw a seal. I couldn't believe that in pitch dark, but there was enough light to see the seal in the very small corner of between the docks swim through, and I saw it perfectly. And I thought, oh my gosh, what is this? What is the seal, meaning of a seal? It seems like an omen. And seals represent abundance, and they represent protection, and they represent prosperity, and they represent intuition. So there I was thinking, oh my gosh, is this a moment of intuition that I need to be prepared in case a fire starts? Or is this my fear running? Is this a desire, not to have this thing going on? And, is my fear really taking over here? So I decided to pray and get in touch with those higher realms and call them in. And I felt my body oscillate between fear, and I felt the contraction in my body. And then as I prayed, I felt this beautiful energy wash through my body, this grace. And that's, so, I got up in the morning, I all safe and everything's cool. It's able to see the profound metaphor of what this is, considering the sun transit that we're in, this theme, and that lightness is actually about purification. And we can use our desires, when we give space to them, as a way to purify our DNA. This gene key 30 is within the codon ring of purification. And this is how we purify. We go into the fears, and we open and welcome in the sacred realms, the higher realms, into our bodies, and we let it burn up all the lower desires. And the lower desires, again, they're not bad or wrong, but it's this idea that our mind thinks it knows what's best. And of course, nobody wants their house to be burnt down. Nobody wants to experience suffering in any way. But it is amazing how the lower realms, it's so easy to get attached to the fears and let our minds run, versus when we ascend in the frequencies, we understand there's something bigger at play. There's something bigger working through us and creating space for that. And the Siddhi of Rapture, again, with all the siddhis, is this understanding that we are all one. And being devoted to that. Devotion is the programming partner of this Siddhi. And as Richard Rudd says, we cannot have rapture without devotion. And that even at the gift level, lightness, the programming partner gift, is commitment. So we need to be committed to inviting light in, even when it burns, even when we really don't want to go into the fear and feel the fears. And hopefully this was a powerful story. I sure couldn't miss this because I haven't felt a fear in that way for some time. And it is interesting what metaphors come up for us. And again, seeing our desires as a metaphor for ultimately coming to the deepest truth, that all desires are really pointing to this desire to free ourselves from our mind, from our small self, and connect to our source. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this gene key, and if you've experienced anything that resonates with this, whatever you feel called to share. I look forward to seeing you in the next video.